I am with Upward Bound, and my name is Frederick Seay, and I'm from Keokuk High School. And today I have my grandfather, Frederick Seay. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you for joining us today to answer some questions for this project. And I'm going to start you off with a few basic questions. Where were you first born?
I was born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1949.
And where do you live now?
I currently live in Keokuk, Iowa.
Okay, what was it exactly that brought you to Iowa?
Well, my mother got a divorce from my father when I was approximately age 17, and therefore she was raised here in Keokuk as a kid, so we moved back here.
Oh, okay, and so where did you go to school for the majority of your high school, middle school?
My father was in the Air Force, so we traveled around different states. I went a lot of my schooling was in Kansas City, Shreveport, Louisiana. I also went my last year of high school here in Keokuk, but also went 2 years of junior college at Southeastern Community College.
Oh, okay, and how was your overall experience during school?
I enjoyed school quite a bit, more so as I got older because I still continued to go. I did go ahead and get a degree as a drug counselor from Southeastern Community College later on in life. I participated in sports. I basically went out for everything. But I did letter in wrestling.
Wow, I didn't know that. At any point in time during your career in classes in school, was there segregation?
Yes, when I was living down south, there was in a lot of different areas. There was an incident. We went to, I believe it was Shreveport, Louisiana, and we went to the theater. After we got there, we went there with a group of kids, and we went to the show. And the first thing I did wrong was I went up and put my mouth on the water fountain to drink some water, and I remember a white kid slapped me on the back of the head and said you couldn't do that. You have to get a cup. So I had to get a paper cup and fill the water up and drink out of it. So we went up into the balcony, which is the only place where we were allowed to sit, which at that time they were called the crow's nest. And to go on with an incident, they had a wall that it went between us. So there was white kids on one side of the wall in the balcony and black kids on the other side. And there was an incident where we were sitting there and some soda pop came over the top of the wall, sprayed on me.
Oh.
So I got angry and I threw mine back over. And the other kids were saying, no, no, no. But by then it was too late. I'd already thrown it over. So then they started throwing more back over. Some got on my other brother, Clifford, so he threw his over. So pretty soon it got out of control. The black kids start throwing theirs over. So then the guy that runs the show came up and said that we had to leave. The white kids got to stay, the black kids had to leave. And then it came out in the paper, black kids rioted theater. So we weren't allowed to go back for like a month. So it kind of blamed it on me.
So was it all the black kids couldn't go back, or just the people that were there that evening?
All the black kids. They weren't allowing any blacks in the theater for a month.
Oh. Are you involved in any organizations within your community? Yes.
I belong to the NAACP, which is actually out of Burlington, Iowa. I'm also a member of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which Martin Luther King started. But I also started an organization, a committee here in Keokuk called United Americans for Community Change, which is what we deal with injustices within the community, civil rights issues, diversity situations, like that.
And so you personally started this committee?
Yes.
Yes. Was there a specific incident that made you think to create this organization?
Yes, there was a racial situation in a local bar in town. It was actually on Halloween night, where several blacks and whites were involved in what was labeled a riot, in which they were saying it was 200 to 300 people involved, and that rioting charges was placed on, I think, 7 of the blacks, I'm not for sure, and 5 of the whites. But one of the kids was tasered, and I just felt that the situation wasn't handled properly, and that there was very few black kids in the bar at that time, but some of them were involved in altercations, which they say that were initiated by the whites, and that they were calling them a bunch of racial names. And this is close to about closing time at 2 o'clock. And so I felt that something needed to be done to try to make sure that they got equal justice in this situation. So later on, they did get the charges. A lot of them dropped from rioting to disorderly conduct. So.
Oh, okay. So how does your family feel about you getting involved in these civil rights organizations?
I think they feel that it's a good thing. I kind of wish more of them were involved in it. But civil rights stuff has kind of been a way of life for me as a young kid. Even back as far as in school and protests, I've been involved in marches and protests myself, in some cases with my parents. So I think it's a good thing that they see me in this. It gives them pride, and plus it gives them also someone to look up to.
I agree. And would you like to explain to us how the civil rights movement has affected you?
Well, I think it's affected me a lot. You know, it's not only me, but a lot of the minorities, where now you can vote, where at one time that was something that people got involved in, trying to get. That was a big thing with Martin Luther King and the marches and protests, and some cases people died just to try to get that right to vote. So I feel that that's the motivation for me to be involved in a lot of the voting process. I've been a delegate with the Democratic Party in Des Moines. I worked on Obama's campaign. So I've been on committees and stuff like that. So I look at the civil rights movement gave us a lot of opportunities. Integration, better housing, there's a lot of things.
In terms of, opportunities,
School,
educational-wise,
yes.
Definitely fond of that one. What are you doing for civil rights now?
Well, like I said, I started this organization to try to make sure that some of the issues that are associated with us still continue. We try to look at jobs, employment. That's one of the issues that we're going to focus on in our next meeting, because the unemployment rate is so high amongst minorities. Let's see if we can try to influence some of the businesses, to at least give minorities a chance to be considered. Like I say, I hear discriminations. Being with the NAACP, one of the things that we do is we look at discriminations within the communities, and we try to address them. We try to turn them on to organizations like the Civil Rights Commission or something like that that could possibly help them make sure that it's a fair and just society.
Right.